welcome to the Style Center. I'm here with Ty Parker. Say hello.
How you guys doing?
For those who don't know you, what do you do?
So I'm currently an acting model and an actor, but also teach acting and modeling classes to some folks that are interested in getting into the industry.
And how long have you been teaching classes?
So the class is probably about 2 years now, but I was doing it way before that. When I didn't know I was doing it. I had a lot of ladies wanted to know how to walk in fashion shows, and so I would kind of like, mimic the walk, tell them to put the heels on, and I would raise my feet up, like I'm standing on my tippy toes, and show them like, hey, this is what you need to do to kind of get them, ready for the fashion shows.
And how are you the go-to person? How did the women know to contact you for help?
Good question. So how that started was, like you kind of get thrown into something. I actually went to Orlando. I had no experience in modeling at all. But I went down to Orlando to see one of my best friends, and a friend of mine from high school lived there. She knew I was in town, so she said, hey, I got a fashion show I'm going to. I want to invite you guys out. So what happened was we ended up going, and then at the end of the show, the guy says, the MC says, if you're interested in modeling, please come up to the stage. So I wasn't interested in modeling, but my best friend's girlfriend was. So she was nervous to go up, and I'm like, yo, I got you. So I went up to the guy and said, my best friend's girl. Before I could finish, he stopped me and said, why aren't you in New York? I said, no, that's not for me. I said, this is for my girl. So we got the number, and I gave it to her. And so this was in Orlando, Florida. But I flew back to Nashville, Tennessee. And so a month went by, and then another month went by, and I'm itching. I'm like, what did he mean by that? So I ended up calling my best friend and said, hey, does she still have that number? So he said, yeah. So I got the number, and I called the guy.
That's crazy that it was still on your mind.
It was on my mind, because I was like, what does he mean by that? I'm sitting here like, I just went down there just to go visit. So I called him up, and this was in like January. So he said, how fast can you get to New York? I said, this is a 3-day weekend coming up. It was MLK Day in 2007. So what I did was I said, man, I can get out there this weekend or next weekend. Booked the flight, got there. That's when everything started for me. This guy was The Voice. That's what he calls himself. His name is Kyle Abercrombie. Not only could he...
His name sounds important.
Oh, man. So he had The Voice, and he was the guy that would be the MC for all the fashion shows in New Jersey and New York. So he would be the one that people would call, and he'd be the person walking down the runway, in the elegant dress, that kind of thing. And so he taught me how to position myself into walking in fashion shows. Not only did he do that, unbeknownst to me, he told me to jump into a fashion show. So he took me around to get into a fashion show. I had never walked before. I had never been to a fashion show other than the one in Orlando. And what he did was he introduced me to this guy named Andre Leon Talley. Didn't know who this guy was.
Wow.
This guy's a mogul in fashion.
Yes. How did you not know who he was?
I didn't know who he was because I wasn't a fashion guy. I played basketball. So I was into sports. Didn't care about fashion or modeling or acting, any of that. So I did one of his shows, and I had this long black, like a long black jacket from out of what's that? The Matrix, and some red glasses on. And I did the show. Everybody's like, you did a great job. And this was unexperienced. Didn't have any experience at all. But from that point on,
you became the coach.
I started learning how to walk. I started learning how to look at things and say, okay, that didn't look right. How do we fix it? Got back to Nashville, and that was just the first part of it. Got back to Nashville and did a couple fashion shows. I'm like, oh, got fashion shows at TSU, so Tennessee State University, all black school. So I went there, did the shows, and I started getting more experience, and I started seeing mostly because of mostly women in the shows. I was like, man, she's bouncing too much. Man, she's doing this. And people would hear me say that, make those comments. And so they're like, well, why don't you show her what she's supposed to do? And so I started doing that. And so
people think that bounce walk is it. But
no, you got to control it. You got to control it. And in certain shows, it might be okay. But if you want to get paid and do it professionally, it's it's a balance to it.
When I'm in the audience watching the show, and this is not a word, I just made it up. Jigulation, all that. I don't want to see it.
The jigulation. Or the other one like that. Right. Every step is a jiggle.
Yes, absolutely. It's too much.
Yeah.
And then, like, when I go to fashion shows, I always think high fashion and runway editorial. That's what I think. So I'm like, you wouldn't see Tyra do this.
And see, she's got a presence. Like, that's what I would watch too. She created that show, Top Model. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I watch that and I get some really good ideas from that show when I'm especially teaching the classes.
So you could teach me how to smile with my eyes?
I could teach you how to smile. What she call it? Schmize.
Smize.
You know? Yeah. So basically what it was just somebody trying, just coaching the ladies when they were on the runway, because you want to show and you want it to look professional, especially if it's Tars talked about being professional. You don't want the show to look like it's not a good show. So basically what it is, it's everybody's got their own walk. You got your own walk. It's just how do you bring it in, like any professional anything. It's you have to work on the small things to perfect it. And that's what I would do in class.
So would you call yourself a pro? You've been doing it for years now. So
man, I've been doing fashion shows for over 10 years now. Yeah. So I haven't done any like New York fashion shows, but I've done a lot of Nashville fashion weeks. I've done a lot of shows around. So I'm a pretty good walker. I actually won a competition in Florida. It was a fashion competition. I had the best walk, and I actually, got an award out of the whole deal. Check this out. Before the show started, there was this guy. We were all going to our rooms and stuff like that. There's a guy walking in front of me. And I said, man, I hope he's not in this competition, because he had a great walk. Like, you just tell he was putting on a show. Everybody's just going to the room. And I was like, this little Asian guy, I said, I hope he's not in the show. So come to find out, he was the trainer for the Victoria's Secret models.
Wow.
When I did my walk at practice, he says, I don't have to work with you. You already got it down. But every single male model and some of the girl models that walked through, he had to tell them, this is what you need to work on. This is what you need to do.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Oh, it was one of the coolest things that I got, because I had to look him up. I was like, who is this guy? And you could see his stats. He coached, I can't think of the names, but they were Victoria's Secret models.
Probably like Chanel Iman.
And that's one of those. Yeah. So I was like, man, that was awesome that I got a compliment from this guy.
Yeah. So for those who want to look you up, they want to Google you, find you on social media, get in contact, see what you got going, get into one of your modeling or acting classes, where can the people find you at?
All right. So I'm in Nashville. You can look me up on Facebook at Ty Parker, or on Instagram at Tyback1. And hit me up at the agencies too if you're looking to book. Dan Talent Group in Nashville, Tennessee, or Colors Agency here in Memphis.
All right. Thank you for stopping by.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Be sure to check out the Style Center every Wednesday, Comcast 31. Stay stylish, y'all.